Hello, my friends. Welcome to the Commander's Crypt. I've got an awesome deck tech for you today. This is one of my favorite decks. I love Prossh, Sky Raider of Kerr. He's so awesome. He's Jund in 3. Everybody knows me. I love dragons. And I absolutely love this guy. This guy is well known for being awesomely awesome, and it's a very good deck. It wins a lot of ways. Everybody knows about the way that it wins, and that's with food chain, and we're going to show that. So, without further ado, Prossh, Sky Rider of Kerr, flying. When you cast Prossh, Sky Rider of Kerr, put X01 red Kobold creature tokens named Kobolds occur deep onto the battlefield, where X is the amount of mana spent to cast Prossh. Sacrifice another creature. Prossh gets +1 till end of turn. As soon as this guy came out, everybody saw the potential for abuse that could go on with this guy. It seems that the best dragons are Jund. So, so this guy is awesome. Without further ado, we will get into it. So, that is the Kobolds of Kerr Deep there. What I did is I took this old card from Legends and made it the tokens. I remember this was the very first zero cast creatures that I'd ever seen. So, I've always had an affinity for these guys and for the kobolds from the Legends set. So I use these as the tokens. Next is going to be food chain. That's what does most of it right there. With food chain, you can go off and just win the game. Food chain says remove a creature you control from the game. Add X mana of any color to your mana pool, where X is the removed creature's converted mana cost +1. This mana may be spent only to play creature spells. So this just got reprinted in Double Masters 2022, and I'd highly recommend it. I like that picture better. But anyway, everybody knows about food chain and Prossh. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to put a lot of mana dorks in here. And what these mana dorks do is create us mana, but then we could sacrifice them for more mana. So that means we can get Prossh out quicker. If you have a Bird of Paradise and a Llanowar Elf, and you play those and tap them and get the mana, and then, sack them to food chain or whatever, bing, bang, boom, you pretty much already got Prossh out. And then when he is out, you're able to sacrifice more dummies, more kobolds, and it just spirals out of control with that. You're going to need a bunch of support cards in this deck to protect Prossh, and a lot of these dummies that I'm about to show you, these very low casting cost creatures, that's exactly what they do. They protect Prossh and allow him to go off and do his thing. We got a Boreal Druid. Add 1 colorless to your mana pool. Then we've got Fyndhorn Elves. Add green to your mana pool. Then we've got Arbor Elf. Untap target forest. Then we've got Llanowar Elves. Then we've got Orcish Lumberjack. This is an oldie but a goodie. I don't see anybody playing this. I've known about this since Ice Age. And it's also in my Goblin Charbelcher deck. Goblin Charbelcher decks usually use red and green as their mana source, but free or cheap ways of putting those mana sources out to then just go off with a Goblin Charbelcher or with a big Goblin Warrens. But anyway, I love this card. For 1 red, he's a 1/1. Then you can tap him, sacrifice a forest to add 3 mana and any combination of red and or green into your mana pool. So this guy can be sacrificed to food chain Or you could use it to second turn or whatever, get 3 mana and put Prossh out like that. Very, very good card. Elvish Mystic. Add 1 green to your mana pool. Another mana dork. Steve-O, the Stevester. We have got him in there to allow you to search for any land that you need and can also be sacrificed to food chain. Blood Artist, he's in there because once Prossh goes off with food chain, and you can keep sacrificing and recasting and sacrificing and recasting, Blood Artist kills everybody at the table. So we're going to have multiple ways of killing everybody at the table when Prossh goes into that death spiral. Burning Tree Shaman, she's in here because she's a 2/2 for 2, and when she enters the battlefield, you get 2 mana, so you basically get more than what you put into her when you have a food chain. Very, very good. Wall of Roots, very, very good as well. This also is the old Goblin Charbelcher build list. 1 green and 1, put a 0/1 counter on Wall of Roots, add green to your mana pool, play this ability as a mana source. Use this ability only once each turn. So you could play this guy. He's a 0/5 blocker. He could block, and then you could sacrifice him and get more mana. Very, very good. Reclamation Sage, another cheap creature that goes in this deck that does something to help you go off. When the Sage enters the battlefield, you may destroy a target artifact or enchantment. Very, very good. Elvish Spirit Guide. She is in here just like the Simian Spirit Guide to give you more mana to be able to get Prossh off early. There he is, Simian Spirit Guide. But then later, if you need to, you can cast these guys for blockers or to sack the food chain. Next is Priest of Gix. He's kind of like the Burning Tree Shaman. He's basically free when he comes out, but nets you more mana with the food chain. Then next is Stronghold Cabal. I've got this guy in here. You're going to see I got a lot of utilitarian hate bears basically in this deck that helps you get Prossh off. If he's a 2/2 for 3, he's a knight. It says tap him, pay 1 life to counter target white spell. Effects that prevent or redirect damage can't be paid. Play this ability as an interrupt. So this guy can just sit there through the whole course of the game and just keep countering once per turn every white spell that you want. So it is very, very fantastic, very underplayed. I'm going to probably do a short on that card. Next is Allosaurus Shepherd. He is fantastic. Another support card in this deck for 1 green. He can't be countered. Then it says green spells you control can't be countered. So this stops your opponents from being able to counter Prossh. And then he can be a win con later, 2 green and 4 until end of turn. Each elf you control has basic power, toughness 5/5, becomes a dinosaur in addition to its other creature types. So that's very good. There's a lot of elves in here, so you could use that to overrun your opponent and win the game that way. You're going to see there's a lot of alternate methods of winning the game with this deck. Speak of the devil, here's one of them right here, 1 red and 2. He's a Devil Warrior, Trample Haste, Alliance. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Devilish Valet's power until end of turn. So the first time that you play Prossh, second or third turn you play this guy, and then third or fourth turn you play Prossh. This guy's got a power of 128 with Trample. So boom, someone's dead with him. If you can keep him alive, you can keep doing that. Or, multiple uses with this guy. So very, very fantastic and auto-include in Prossh decks. Then you've got the Walking Ballista with Food Chain. you can go off and then bomb your opponents for all that mana that you made, because Walking Ballista is a creature, and Food Chain says you can, all that mana you make you can use to cast creatures with. So boom, that's another way of winning the game. Vexing Shusher. This is some more New Orleans Commander's Crypt secret tech. Just like the Knights, this is another card that's never played for green-red hybrid. Vexing Shusher can't be countered. It's the same thing. You play this, she can't be countered, and then for one hybrid, green or red, target spell can't be countered by spells or ability. So again, you have a support card that will keep Prossh from getting countered, and then you could sacrifice her to the Food Chain to go off. Goblin Bushwhacker, another support card. 1 red, 1/1. When Goblin Bushwhacker enters the battlefield, if it was kicked, creatures you control get +1/0 and gain haste until end of turn. So another way you can win is Prossh, and then after you make 1,000 kobolds, they all have haste and attack out that way. Next, I absolutely love this deck. This deck's a lot of fun. Skullwinder. Okay, so Skullwinder allows you to get something out of your graveyard, but again, you can sack it to Food Chain. Very, very awesome. When it enters the battlefield, return target card from your graveyard to your hand and choose an opponent. That player returns a card from his or her graveyard to their hand. The reason why this is in here and not Eternal Witness is because it's more splashable, and usually you can target an opponent that has no graveyard or doesn't have a very good graveyard. Then we got some Wood Elves, some more Mana Dorks, Soul Ring, because Soul Ring, and then we've got a Mana Crypt in there because speed is life with this deck. Lightning Greaves, you can put this on your guy and have no problems. Now another way to protect Prossh, and there's more ways in here. I'll show you. And then we've got a Cultivate to help you fix your mana base, second or third turn. Dark Ritual for speed. Kadama's Reach, fix your mana. And then we've got Journey of Discovery, another way to fix your mana and ramp your mana. Then we've got Sylvan Tutor. One of my favorite artists, Kaja Foglio from back in the day. That's a portal card, so mid to late 90s. Search your deck for a summon creature card and reveal that card to all players. Then shuffle your deck and put the revealed card on top of it. So that allows you to get creatures that you need or alternate win cons, as I'll show you here in a second. Worldly Tutor, second verse, same as the first, allows you to put a creature card on top of your library, but at instant speed. And now we've got the tutors. You're going to have a Demonic Tutor in there and a Demonic Consultation. Demonic Consultation says, name a card, remove the top 6 cards of your library from the game and reveal the next card to all players. If it is the card name, put it in your hand. If not, remove that card from the game and continue doing this until you get that card. So yeah, you're gonna exile a bunch of cards, but you're gonna eventually get the card that you need. Now we've got a bunch of cheap tutors. Profane Tutor, very cheap. Shred Memory. It has Transmute for 3. It allows you to get a card with the mana cost of 2. Next, we have got Divining Witch. Kind of the same thing as Demonic Consultation. You basically keep exiling cards until you get what you are looking for, and then you can sacrifice him. So you could search for a Food Chain with him and then sacrifice him to it and then get the ball rolling. Diabolic Tutor, you can sacrifice one of your cheap Mana Dorks to get what you need. Vampiric Tutor, same thing. Grim Tutor, same thing. Fourth verse, same as the first. Then we've got a Tranquility. Remove any card from your graveyard to your hand. So if something happens and you need something in your graveyard, you can get it. Kind of a mild tutor. Necropotence. Now you can pretty much draw a metric crap ton of cards, get them in your hand, and then do whatever you need to do to get your, get your food chain or whatever. Another tutor, Demure Machinations. This is the transmute call cast, and then that is the that's the transmute abilities cost, and then you can get a tutor card for 3 mana, so that would allow you to get food chain. And then Demure House Guard, that would allow you to get something with a casting cost of 4, which I will show you here in a little bit. And then we've got the alternate ways to win. Tainted Strike. Target creature gets 1/0 and gains infect until end of turn. So when you pump Prossh up to 10 and you put this on him, instant speed, you take somebody out with infect damage. Same thing with Phyresis. Put it on Prossh and start taking people out with infect damage. Dense Foliage. This is another Commander's Crypt secret tech card. No one plays it. It's old school. 1 green and 2. Creatures cannot be the target of spells. That's going to protect your Prossh Sky Raider of Kerr. You don't have any spells in here really that target other creatures, so that's another card that protects him. And then when Prossh is going off, Goblin Bombardment, you can then use all them dummies to kill all your opponents. Perforos, when he is out, and every time your kobolds hit the ground running, they do damage to everybody. Fecundity. Whenever a creature dies, that creature's controller may draw a card. Same thing. Now you can start drawing for a bunch of cards by sacrificing guys. Works really well with Prossh when he's sacrificing kobolds to get bigger. It draws you a handful of cards. Impact Tremors. Whenever kobolds hit the ground running, it does damage to people. Then we've got Ashnod's Altar to help cast things other than creatures, like your food chain. And then Dictate of Erebos. I highly recommend this card in this deck. Very, very good. I played a game, and I put this down, and nobody could do anything because I would cast Prossh, sacrifice them, and then wipe out their board. And because none of them had any anti-enchantment cards, I just basically went the whole game doing whatever I pleased that whole game. I basically won that game. So Dictate of Erebos, very, very good in this deck. Then we've got Xenagos the Reveler. It says add X mana of any combination of red and green for your mana pool, where X is the number of creatures you control. That's what you're going to use this guy for, is put him out, and then when you got a bunch of little guys out there, you can use him for more mana, yada, yada, yada. Beastmaster Ascension, very good card in this deck with all your small creatures, but then also with Prossh, makes all of your 1/1/6/6s not very hard to get off in this deck. Then we've got Liliana Vess. She's just basically another tutor in here, but then you can use her to blow up your opponent's hands. And then if you get her to 8, you can then ult her and take all creature cards out of the graveyard and win that way. If the game is going not like you thought, you can protect her and win that way. Ogre Battle Driver, he's fantastic in his deck. Whenever another creature has battlefield control, that creature gains +2 and gains haste. So same thing. With Prossh, put out a bunch of guys, win that way by overrunning all of your opponents. Sarkhan Vol, same thing. His first one says creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain haste until end of turn. So your kobolds will be 1/2s and attack that way. But then again, he's also got other things that you could use if you need to. Then we've got Triumph of the Hordes. What that does is it allows you to cast this, and then with all of your dummies or mana dorks, you can overrun somebody and win the game that way with infect damage. Fires of Yavimaya, going to give all of your creatures haste. Same thing for the kobolds. Xenagos, God of Revels, he's indestructible and he pumps. You get to choose a creature and it doubles their attack, whatever their power is. So with Prossh, that works really well as well. But then he becomes a creature once he gets his devotion. And now we've got the lands. We got a pretty city of brass in here. Keswick Wolf Run. This is going to allow you to attack with Prossh and then double him or make his power so large that you'll be able to kill people with commander damage. Then we've got Cavern of Souls, another way to protect him from being countered. Valroth Stronghold. What you can do with that is if you've cast this guy a couple times and he's been killed and you don't quite have the mana to do it again and have him go off, you can just put it in the graveyard and then put it in your hand that way from top decking. Then Homeward Path, that's another support card in the deck to help Prossh if somebody takes him. So, and then you've got Daragaz's Cauldron. That's another old school Commander's Crypt New Orleans secret deck tech. Before there was all of these dual lands all over the place, in the early 2000s, there were the dragon cards that were lairs. And what you could do is use it right away. It doesn't come into play tapped as long as you bounced another card in your hand. And as you can see, this is a tricycle land with pretty much no, you don't have to tap it. So, and this works really well with Bajuka Bogs and other types of cards like that. There was 4 or 5 of them. Go check them out. They're called lairs. And they were much stronger back in the day because there were no, duels were very hard to come by. And this is a tricycle land with no, bad press with it. If you played it alone, it would sacrifice it. So you'd never do that. You would always just bounce a land card into your hand. And then that's pretty much it. As you can see, Prossh is a very easy, cheap, even a relatively cheap deck if you think about it. All of those mana dorks are cheap, maybe except for the Allosaurus Shepherd, but he's come down in price because he just got reprinted. But yeah, that's it. I love this deck. It's very resilient. There's multiple ways of winning. And last time I played this thing, I had a Greaves on it, and I had the Dictate of Erebos on it, and I pretty much controlled the whole game, much to my opponent's chagrin. But anyway, that's it. I hope you like my Prossh deck tech. What I wanted to say is, if you're watching, if you've come this far, if you've subscribed, if you like what we're doing, you are my friend. We are working toward building not just a channel, but a Commander community. So if you're watching now, if you're subscribed, you are my friend. And if you're not, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of good things coming up in the future. We've got, we're going to have competitive EDH games, and we are going to also have a little news department here where we talk more about new cards and new things coming up with Magic the Gathering. So that's it. That's all I've got. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you on the next Commander's Crypt New Orleans.